Well, the bulls have been very, very strong. In fact, the grip on the market has been really firm. So let's see whether that continues today. All indications are it will. Our research team is here to give you the list of top 10 stocks as we kickstart trade this morning. Let's welcome them bright and early. Hi, guys. Good morning to all of you. Anuj, what's on your radar today?
Sonia, today I'm watching out for Zee Entertainment. We discussed this stock last week after the results, but over the weekend there was an interesting disclosure about Manish Chokhani buying 1 lakh shares of Zee Entertainment from open market on 19th August, which is after results. He's of course the independent director and now holds about 2 lakh shares. So there are a couple of big questions here that people would want to know. I think the biggest one is this some kind of a vote of confidence from Manish Chokhani? Because the biggest problem for Zee was that there was no confidence. It was always a great asset at a great price, but there was always no confidence because of what was happening with non-disclosures, etc. And now with the promise of more disclosures, is there some kind of a vote of confidence? And can that mean that the stock can go to not more, say 15x PE from here on? Currently, of course, trading at 10x. Of course, in its heydays, it's traded at 40 times, but the market will not give you 40 times in a hurry. Even if it gives you 15 times for this increased confidence and the fact that it's a bull market, that's good enough. For that to happen, I think, like most of the brokerages pointed out, the start was good in this quarter in terms of disclosure and the promise was there. They need to keep maintaining that. And if that is the case, then I think it's conceivable that the stock gets back to at least 15 times, if not the heyday. So I think that's why I'll keep an eye on Zee Entertainment.
Okay, yeah, but to be fair, the market is also like Manish Chokhani smelling a return of good times to Zee. Yeah. It has moved off from what lows of less than 130. Yeah. And it looks like now it's going to be professionally owned, professionally managed. Yes. That might be working in favor. Let's look at the next big news that broke over the weekend. ICICI Lombard has decided to acquire Bharti AXA general insurance business. And the ratio is 2 shares for every 115 shares of Bharti AXA. So that will be issued to the Bharti AXA shareholders. The acquisition will add a decent amount of money, 3,000 crores to the premium and 4,800 crore to the investment book. It's minor. If it is 2 shares for 115 shares, you get an idea. It is 1 by 50th in terms of size. But analysts we spoke to believe that there is a decent amount of operational expenditure that Bharti AXA has. The OPEX is high and therefore there will be scope for ICICI Lombard to make some money on this.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out on that. Moving on, Oil India also on our radar today. Sonal is joining in to tell us why she's tracking that one. Hi Sonal, morning.
Good morning, Sonia. Well, Oil India reported numbers over the weekend and they were slightly weaker than the weak expectations that Kotak institutional equities had. Revenues have declined 33%. This time around, EBITDA was down 54% at 197 crore rupees, lower than estimates. And the losses have really expanded. So loss came in at 250 crores versus an estimate of 81 crore loss. And this is because the company provided around 93 crores worth of expenses because of the Bhagjan blowout. This time around, crude oil realization was at $34 per barrel, in line with estimates. But it has turned to a discount to Brent versus premium in earlier quarters. Again, these are backdated numbers. Crude prices have gone up. And that is why CLSA says that they are building in newer, higher crude price. And that's why they are raising the estimates by 75% for FY22. Back to you.
Okay, Sonal, thanks a lot for that. So that's Oil India will keep an eye on. But Lata, what about Indiabulls Housing? Does it look like the worst is over?
Well, the numbers are all good. I mean, GNPA is slightly higher and the net NPA. But income has grown. I think the positive will be that the assets under management have fallen by only 0.25%. All these months since the IL&FS and the wariness to get money from the financial sector, most of the NBFCs have been crunching their balance sheet. Here, the AUM seems to have stabilized. But I think in Indiabulls' case, there will be a lot more that investors would be looking for now that Sameer Gehlot is moved away from chairmanship position and a former RBI DG is there. The expectation is that now they are trying to distance Indiabulls Housing from the Sameer Gehlot promoter group. And that may act more positive than the numbers itself. Because, what do you know about GNPA? There is still moratorium going on. These numbers will not convince as much as the fact that the management is undergoing changes.
Okay, well, let's get back to earnings now. Rossari Biotech came out with their numbers. The margins have expanded, so it looks pretty good on the operational front. Sonal is here to give us the fine print. Sonal, over to you.
Oh, absolutely, Sonia. It was a good quarter operationally. Yes, the revenues declined around 14%, but margins expanded substantially. So the margins came at 21.7% versus 17.55% on a YY basis. Profits also were up around 9%. And it is the lower cost that aided margins. So this time around, raw material costs were down 20%, employee expenses down 8%, other expenses down 13%. And the company says now supply is back to the normalized levels, and going ahead, they expect these normalized levels to show in the numbers as well. Back to you.
Okay. It's an unfair question to ask you suddenly, Sonal, but what are the valuations looking like?
It's an expensive stock, Lata. It trades at around 32 times FY22 EPS. So in comparison to other chemical companies, it is expensive.
Okay, good. You have it on the tip of your fingers. Thank you. That was the only complaint, that a lot is in the price. Okay, now from wellness to not so wellness. Godfrey Phillips, Mangalam?
Well, Lata, the results were not good, and that was expected because it was the lockdown quarter. Most of the tobacco was actually consumed out of home, and a lot of their factories were shut as well. So a 45% decline in their revenues, 69% decline in their EBITDA. Most of this weakness led by their tobacco and other products business. So we have, the cigarette revenues actually halving year on year this quarter, and the operating income out there declining by about 74% as well. The management said that most of their operations are gradually resuming, but the bigger concern that I gather from the street is that their plants in Maharashtra are still shut. So until that opens, there is perhaps no reason for a significant upside on the stock. The results were weak as expected. Maybe the stock would be a little subdued.
Okay, that's Godfrey Phillips. Abhishek is on leave, so Rima is filling in for a couple of other stocks to watch, PNB and Union Bank. Rima?
Hi Anuj, good morning. So both PNB and Union Bank have reported good numbers. They've reported a profit this time versus expectations of a loss. So in that sense, positive earnings. Let me start with PNB. The company has reported a profit of 308 crore this time. The expectation was a loss of 10, compared to a loss of 10,000 crore in, last quarter. And the key reason is a sharp cut in their operating expense. The other positive includes the annualized credit cost is halved to 2.76%, and the NII has gone up by 8% on a year-on-year basis. For Union Bank as well, they've reported a profit versus expectation of a loss. Profit stands at 332 crore, and here the key reason is a sharp increase in the net interest income, which has gone up by 17% on a year-on-year basis, and on a quarter-on-quarter basis, it's higher by 7.3%. Asset quality was stable for Union Bank, so positive for both these banks. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Rima, for that. Most of these companies have already belched out all their NPAs in the past many quarters. So that's why when you compare on year-on-year basis, the bank numbers are looking very good because they've put behind a very difficult past. But the only problem is that can the future also be difficult because we don't know much about how much of moratorium will go into restructuring and how much of restructuring will go into default. Okay, well, with that, we turn over to companies where we can have a better grip. Suprajit, okay, Sonia, you looking at it. Suprajit and Minda.
I'm going to start with Minda. I'm going with green because although the numbers were very weak, there was a loss this time around. The outlook from the management is positive, and their biggest clients are Maruti, Bajaj Auto, Honda, where you've seen a recovery. So if you look at it, the loss in Q1, the extended lockdown and low demand has hit earnings. Revenues have fallen 71%. There's an EBITDA loss of 71 crores and a net loss of 119 crores. But the management says that all facilities across the globe are now operational. Utilization levels have improved month on month, and their key clients like Bajaj Auto and Maruti have seen a recovery. For Suprajit Engineering, I'm going with a red because it was a weak quarter. There's been a lull in the global auto sector, and that's weighed on revenues. Revenues down 51%. Once again, an EBITDA loss of 5 crores and a net loss of 14 crores.
Okay. We have to wrap this up quickly. Agam, what are the stocks on your radar?
Well, right at the top, I have Phoenix Mills, considering a QIP, where they have determined and approved a price of around 605 rupees a share, and that's at a 13% discount to Friday's closing price. Of course, they've raised about 1,100 crores through the QIP. And moving on to Granules, well, it's had a US FDA approval for Ramiltian tablets. This drug is used for the treatment of insomnia, and it has annual sales of around $33 million in the US. And finally, we come down to Piramal Enterprises. We understand, as ET reports, that Piramal Capital is in talks with Apollo Global to raise $500 million. Of course, we must say that CNBC TV 18 has not not independently verify this report.
All right, thanks a lot for that. So those are a whole host of stocks in the news. But here's a CNBC TV18 exclusive for you. Sources say that the Secretaries panel met on the Concor and BPCL strategic stake sales. Sapna Das has more details for us. Sapna, hi, morning. What are you picking up?
Hi, good morning. So basically, the BPCL thing is already underway. September is the deadline for the submission of EOIs. But first, coming back to Concor, the EOI is yet to be put out. So we're given to understand that basically it's a land licensing policy of the railways, because all of that is on lease with Concor. That has yet to be resolved. So the Secretaries panel met last week, and we're given to understand that Railways is likely to come out with a quick, roadmap / clarification on what this land licensing policy is going to be like. If you recall, basically, Concor works on the basis of volumes. So the charges are set accordingly. But Railways had gone ahead and made some changes there, link it up with the land rates itself. So there's a bit of a dispute that has been underway on that. So the core group of Secretaries panel met on this last week, and that is a quick one that we can expect, I think, over the next 1 month or so.
That's very...
Post that, the Concor EOI is likely to be out, and BPCL are given to understand that the bidders, the replies from the government side on the bidders' queries is likely to be out on the website in a few days.
Okay.
So
thanks a lot for that, Sapna. Concor will be something which will be very positive, because ever since they announced their results and reported this large land licensing fee that is shown as a contingency spend, the stock has been falling. So any quick clarity on the LLF, the land licensing fee, will help. Manisha Gupta is with us to give us all the commodity cues. Morning, Manisha.
Morning, Lata. Well, when you look at the metal space, the steel prices have started a fifth week with gains, but the other metals are quite flat. U.S. says that they would decouple and not do business with China. That seems to be weighing on. Also, the strength in U.S. dollar is weighing on many of these non-ferrous metals. But ferrous metals like steel and iron ore have started quite positive in Asia yet again. Some strength coming back for the crude oil prices also. This is after 2% of decline in the previous week. But twin threat hurricanes Marco and Laura have led to 45% of natural gas output being shut, and 58% of offshore crude production in U.S. Gulf of Mexico is also shut. So that really seems to be supporting the crude as an energy sector right now.
Okay, all right. Manisha, thanks a lot for that. So that is the latest as far as the commodity cues are concerned. But let's do one thing. Let's focus now on some earnings. In fact, some corporates. We have the management of Coforge. Sudhir Singh, the Chief Executive Officer of Coforge. Remember, Coforge is the erstwhile NIIT. They join in next to tell us what their strategy is going forward. So don't go anywhere. Lots of corporate talk lined up in just a bit.